like tutorial on how to
Uh-oh.
create your own emojis. So
Wow.
Oh, how to make your own emojis?
yeah,
Of course.
through
It's
AI, using AI to do it.
it's 4:15, so if you would like to get started, I will turn it over to our wonderful presenters
Great.
with
Kate
this.
will Kate will share.
Yeah, I will share. Hold on, let me move things around so we can share appropriately.
Well, while Kate is moving things around to share things, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I am Lisa Byrnes, and I'm a instructional designer at World Campus. I should probably say the university. Penn State World Campus, I have the pleasure of working with both Kate and with Penny.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. And we are so lucky to work with you as well.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I just wanted a quick shout out. We were working on some images the other day of us, and you're going to see them in a little bit. And everyone we did put us in a beige sweater. So Carol, you are killing it in the beige sweater. Are you real or are you AI? And that's why I wore my beige sweater today, honestly.
That's fine.
Beige sweater is the default for a designer. When you ask for instructional designer, it always puts a beige sweater. So I don't know why. All right. All right. Welcome everyone to using AI to generate engaging course content. We have some, as Kate mentioned, we have our introductions. We have a few images of ourselves from ChattyG. These are from 2024 and show ChattyG's interpretation of our prompts. So you can see you get kind of mixed results. And if you don't give too much detail, sometimes when you say designer, it can default to a male character. So that's interesting. And then if you look at the next set, here are the same prompts in 2025, right? So they're better quality, but they are slower to process. And as always, not always 100% what you wanted, right? Mostly beige sweaters here. And so just as the theme, kind of keep in mind that when you're using AI, it always needs to be vetted. That's our undercurrent theme today. So I'll hand it off to Lisa.
Thank you, Penny. Can you put that picture back up with the picture of all of us on there? What's funny about when I asked them to create a picture of me this time, I said with a looked like I was going to a conference, and so they did put a lanyard on me, but then they gave me this like 70s wallpaper piece to put on me too. So
Right.
I have that, and I have to also laugh because Penny's fingers are actually that long, like she's long fingers, and I don't know how they got that right, but they did. So
Are you
thank you
saying I
all
have
of you.
AI fingers, Lisa?
You have AI fingers. Thank you, everybody, for coming and spending your time with us. We're really happy to see you all here. I see some familiar faces. And Kate and I have done this presentation a couple of times, and we've kind of changed it up a little bit. Tonight, what I wanted to do, actually, I guess today, this afternoon, because you wouldn't believe where I am right now. But so what I want to do today is actually talk a little bit about how AI can be used in education. And because we're never sure what level we have when we have presentations, I kind of wanted to start with the very easy stuff and move along to custom GPTs that you can do. So we're going to start with the easy stuff, kind of low-hanging fruit, things that you can easily do in AI. And then we'll move on to some more difficult things. And then Kate's going to get into some images. Okay, let's go ahead into this now. So a little bit about an introduction to AI in education. So you can go to the next one, Kate, please. So let's begin and talk about why AI is so relevant to us as educators. Well, the important thing here is that AI is no longer something that's futuristic. It's a practical tool that we can use to enhance productivity, create engaging content, even personalized learning. And we have to remember, and I know this is hard, to think this sometimes, but AI is not here to replace us, but to support the work that we are doing and help us do it more efficiently and more effectively so that we have more time as educators to go more in depth with our teaching and mentoring. So let's get started with, let's just talk about some different tools. You can go to the next one, Kate. Most of you have likely heard of ChatGPT, and we call that Chatty G because sometimes ChatGPT is difficult to get out. Llama, Copilot, Gemini, those are just some of the AI tools that are out there. And those are all what we would call conversational AI tools. So you can kind of talk to them back and forth. You can ask them to do different things using prompts, and they're going to generate intelligent responses to you. Not intelligent enough that you don't need to read them, though. ChatGPT is one of the most user-friendly options, and it's one that I like to use a lot. The free version of ChatGPT is very powerful, but if you want to use features such as making your own custom GPT, creating a GPT to have it do things that you specifically want it to do, then you may have to opt for a paid version of GPT. I can tell you that we all have our own paid versions of Chatty G because we feel like it is that important to what we are doing. So let's talk about one of the things that we can use ChatGPT for, and that is to write learning objectives. So we can all write learning objectives if we, instructional designers, faculty can write learning objectives, but we have found that it can be done very quickly with Chatty G. You can ask it to do something very simple like write 3 undergrad level objectives for a lesson on X on whatever topic using Bloom's taxonomy. And sure enough, it's going to produce you 3 good objectives that you'll have some place to work from, that you're not creating them from scratch, but gives you some good 3 objectives based on Bloom's taxonomy. It's very easy for AI to produce objectives tailored to your subject and your level using the Bloom's taxonomy educational framework. So besides writing objectives, another thing that Chatty G can do very easily for you is create rubrics. You can say that you want to create a 100-point rubric with 5 criteria, one of which you want to be for late work and 3 grading levels. And it will create that for you in seconds, a lot faster than I could even write down the word rubric. So this doesn't only save time, but it makes it very consistent throughout your course. If you're creating multiple rubrics, it can make that process very consistent throughout the course. So it can save time, it can ensure consistency, and you can prompt for any format, grid-like, table, whatever you want it to be in. You can ask it to create it that way, and it will give you that it will give you a rubric in that format that you asked for with the point value and the criterion. It's been very helpful. On the next slide, I'm going to show you just an example, and this is just like a quarter of a piece of a rubric that you would normally see if you asked it to create a 100-point or a 40-point rubric with 4 criteria and 3 grading levels, making 1 criteria late. So this is just an example of what a quarter of a rubric would look like created in ChatGPT. It created it in a grid. It gave me 3 grading levels, excellent, proficient, needs improvement, and it gives me point value for each. And I can go in and change all of that around if I want to. So it's not written, it gives me some ideas and I can jump off of that and create even further with what it has given me. So another good way to use ChatGPT is with assessments and activities. You can very easily build any type of question for a test or a quiz in ChatGPT. It can be short answer, multiple choice, or multiple guess, however you do it, true, false. It can also give you the answers that you need for the questions. With anything that you create using AI, you should always be sure to read it for accuracy. Make sure what it's saying is actually correct. And you also want to teach your students that also, because I think a lot of times they put information in and thinks it all comes back correctly. But AI can help us as educators to develop engaging, relevant assessments. And you can also use it to simulate real world problems or case studies. These tools really help us to go and move more quickly from idea to execution. And you're going to see an example, or we can show you an example of how we created a ChatGPT called a scenario creator to create a scenario in a course and have a different scenario for every week and every assignment that the student did. But it stayed with the same characters, the same company, and the students absolutely loved it. But we'll show that more towards the end. So what's very important in education is that we improve student engagement, that we really want students to be engaged with whatever we're teaching them. And as we know, there are different types of engagement, but AI can help us to enhance engagement. You can generate scripts for debates in your courses that you can use in discussion boards, for simulations, or you can even ask it to suggest prompts for students to use. You can ask students themselves can use AI to have it print something out or have it create something and then go back and review it. And I always give this example, but one of my most favorite examples is ask the students to ask ChatGPT something that's related to your area of practice. For example, I could say, write a collective bargaining agreement. And ChatGPT would create that. So as an instructor, I would ask the students then to copy whatever AI produced and paste that into a Word document and turn on the tracking changes and go through and make the corrections of where AI made that wrong. Because it's very important for students to see that it's not always correct and that they always will have to correct what they are doing. So as instructors or educators, it's important for us to guide the students on how to use AI. And we have to teach them how to use AI ethically, how to cite AI, how to make sure that they're using it in a way that's going to be a very positive experience for them and for everybody that's involved. So you can make sure that they're following rules or using it ethically if you put information in your syllabus, expectations on if they can or cannot use AI. You could also do this for each assignment. Maybe you have one assignment that you are instructing the students to use AI for a certain purpose, but maybe the next assignment you absolutely do not want them to use AI. So it should be important that you put those expectations in every assignment so students understand when they can use AI and when they can't. So you really have to guide them on how to use that. Okay, so as well as using it for educational purposes, we can also use it for administrative purposes. AI can really help you with doing some behind the scenes tasks that you do with your course delivery. It can draft some syllabus policies, maybe even policies related to AI. It can maybe create some FAQ templates that you could use in your courses. It can even analyze student feedback. And these are all things that AI can do to help you be a little bit more efficient. It can also summarize qualitative comments from course evaluations or organize information from your current course to help you to improve the course for the next iteration of the course. So let me just give you examples of some custom GPTs. I mentioned in the beginning that we created a custom GPT for a story, but here are some other examples. You can create a custom GPT to be used as a tutor in your course. It doesn't have to be a labor law tutor. It can be a tutor for whatever topic your course is about. You can also have it be used as a case study for a simulation. And it can also be used as a writing coach. So you can ask students the writing coach can give some more formative feedback as students kind of hand in or submit the assignment into the AI to see what kind of feedback and give it. And those are all custom GPTs that you can create that can help you with your teaching and make you a little bit more efficient. So let's talk a little bit about this scenario creator that I've been talking about. It was a custom GPT that we created. I was working on a 7-week course, an online course in labor, employment, and relations fundamentals. So the instructor wanted a scenario that could be used for each of the assignments throughout the course. Her idea when she presented that to me was, I'm going to work on creating some scenarios, and I'm going to make a story, and then I'm going to, have to adjust it for each week to make sure that it will apply to the assignment that we give the students each week. And I said, let's see what we can get from ChatGPT. So that's what I did. I went into ChatGPT and I asked it to create a scenario of a fictitious company. It could name the company for us. It could tell us what the company was doing. I would need some union characters. I would need some management characters, and I would need all this put together for me. So we just used ChatGPT. We just used the regular ChatGPT 4 to create this. It created the characters. It created the fictitious company. And then what we used the custom GPT for was to create the weekly storyline, the weekly scenario, using the same characters. And then we also used the custom GPT to create the assignment piece for each week. So our first steps were creating that fictional company. And so ChatGPT did that. It was a company with a dedicated workforce. This is what we were asking for. We were asking for 5 characters, 3 union, 2 management. It gave us some very common names. And so then we also asked it to create some background information about the characters. And you can go ahead on to the next one there, Kate. So when it created you can go to the next one then. When it created the initial names, they were very, general names, very common names that we see. The background information about the company was not quite what we wanted it to be. So we wanted to change that. We also, when it first gave us the character information, it was really vague. So we specifically then asked it that we wanted to know years with the company, what their job title was, what their educational background was, their professional experience, their professional area of expertise. We wanted to have that information all included. So it came up with the company of Tektronix Innovations, and it said that it was a renowned company known for its cutting edge and dedicated workforce. And that's not something that we really wanted. We wanted it instead to be a software company. So after talking with the SME, we decided to change it to a software company. The second thing that it came up with was the dedicated workforce piece. So that was okay. It was good that it was dedicated workforce, but instead what we wanted was a diverse workforce in our scenarios and with our characters. And the next thing is that, it said the issue that the company was going to be having and making people uncomfortable was the automated process. So we said, in addition to that automated process, we wanted to show that there were other issues that were going on with the company, that they were changing the software. They were going
Lisa,
to be
hold on a
changing.
minute. Lisa,
Okay.
there was a problem with my slides. Am I on the right slide?
No, can you go back like 1 or 2? Let's see. Go back. Go back one more, please. There you go. So
Okay.
here, this is where I'm talking about what the original came out from the from ChatGPT, and then after speaking with the SME, what we changed it to. So I've talked about how it created the cutting edge technology. We moved it to a software technology. It said it's a dedicated workforce, which was fine, but we also wanted a diverse workforce. And it said that the issue that the company was having and why the employees were unsettled was because we were generating more automated processes within the company. But we wanted to have that it was going to be more automated process, but we also wanted to have that it was adopting new technologies and automated processes were going to be a key component in its business and growth strategy. And also there were going to be changes to the compensation compensation structures. So those were the issues that this company was going to have, and what we asked for ChatGPT to create, which it did for us after the initial one was very vague. So you can go to the next one there, Kate. So you'll see that in the initial, the names were very common names that didn't have any diversity. The profile that we received was very vague. And after us talking it over, us being the SME and myself, then we were able to add diverse characters, put more substance in the character profile about their background, their education, work experience. And then after we were able to settle on the profiles, we were ready then to create character images. So let's take a look at our character images on the, there we go. So what we did is we actually created character profiles first, which we told you, and we paired those then with the image that we also created by ChatGPT. So we kind of put in the profile and we said, okay, create this image of what you think this person would look like. And it gave us these images. The two in the kind of pinkish background were both management. So those two were on the management team. And the three in the kind of the baby blue background, those three were in the union. And you can see each of the names are kind of unique, and we wanted that way. We wanted it to be very, very diverse. So to create the custom GPT that we made, we used the character profiles. We got the file with the background info of the company. You can go to the next slide there, Kate, please. Thank you. We had the file of the background of the company that we had it create after we made some corrections on what we wanted the company to have issues with. And then we instituted a couple steps within our custom GPT. So we had the knowledge piece, which was the document that we used. We identified a couple steps that we wanted our custom GPT to follow so that we could use it each week. So we could just plug in a different topic each week. And this worked out actually very well. On the next slide, you'll see that the slides, or on the slide, you'll see different topics on there. And those were the different topics for the assignments each week. So each week we put in a different topic. I'd say early stages of union organizing and tectonic. I'd say that is what we're working on this week. And it would create this entire scenario based on all those characters. And then it would create the issue or the problem that the students then needed to solve for this particular company. And this was done for every single week in a custom GPT that we had created. And I have to say that this custom GPT was created by a team of us at Penn State World Campus. There's 5 of us that work together. We're kind of a brainstorming group, and we just get together and we start throwing out ideas to each other. And this was actually our first GPT, custom GPT, I think, that we made. And now to see the ones that this group is creating, it's absolutely fantastic and has been amazing to watch. So normally I would do a custom GPT demo right now, but I'm going to save that for the end because I want to give Kate a little time to talk about some of her things. But I just want to wrap up my portion here by saying that the faculty, this course has run twice. The course that is using this scenario crafter piece, it has run twice. And I have talked to the instructor about this course, and she said the students absolutely love that every week there is a different scenario that relates directly to what they are learning about that particular week, and that they seem to be like getting closer to these characters. You know, they met the characters at the very beginning where they first got their profiles, and now they are learning about these characters and what their role is in the company Tectonic each week, and every issue that they have to solve in order to get to their collective bargaining agreement. And so far with this course running 2 times, there have been no updates to this assignment or in the way this has been done. And so we've been very pleased with the way it all turned out. It's amazing so far that it has not had any changes, but I suspect that in the future we may have something. So just some final tips and takeaways when you're thinking about using AI in your teaching. You can go to the next one, please, Kate. I encourage you to start small. If you haven't broken into that AI piece yet, and you think, oh my goodness, it's running away from me, just go after the easy stuff, doing some objectives, doing some rubrics, maybe combining assignments or making it an assignment. You know, you can ask it to do whatever you want, and then you take that from ChatGPT, ChatGPT, that's why we call it ChatGPT. We take it from there, we put it into Word, and we transform it into the way that we want it. But we also have to make sure we're checking it for accuracy. You need to encourage your students to use it ethically, maybe even include a syllabus statement about its role in learning. And when you're ready, when you start to get more comfortable with using AI, you can start to move on to something more dynamic, something more interactive that students, a simulation, you know, type thing, maybe a debate. Right now, I'm working on one where it's that the ChatGPT acts either as the management or the union, and me, the person or the student, is now having a debate with ChatGPT based on a custom GPT that we created. So you can do many things with a custom GPT, and you do have to have a paid version of ChatGPT, but get yourself, you know, started with it, start using it a little bit, become comfortable with it, and have the conversation with your students about how they're using it. And you can do that through a Zoom meeting with the students, maybe in a discussion board on your course. You know, have that discussion. Ask them, how are you using AI? Don't be afraid to ask them that, because the more you have the conversation and that gets out in the open, the more there is an understanding between you and the students. And then they'll begin to understand that using, you know, when you use ChatGPT, you still have to cite it. You still have to say that you have used it. And Kate's going to talk a little bit about that in her section. So use it to do a couple of tasks, then grow your use over time. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lisa. That was great. And I'm going to touch on a different GPT too, to kind of, some people were having questions about like, what is the difference between just typing in a prompt and using a pre-programmed GPT? So I think between our two examples, it'll kind of explain it a little more. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you about AI imagery, which in case you haven't seen any, which if you haven't seen any, you haven't opened your eyes in a few days, because it is everywhere and it's really exhausting. I don't know what the right word is. You can't trust anything you see anymore. It's just everywhere. So AI imagery, kind of like ChatGPT and other large language models, was just trained on millions and millions of images. And that's how it started, basically the exact same way. But in the past year, it is forged ahead in a big way. All right. So last year, like you saw in the beginning, when we typed in, you know, create an image of us as an instructional designer, we got these avatar looking pictures. They were okay, they weren't bad. And this year we got human looking pictures, and it takes a little longer, but the quality is definitely up there. So other updates that we've noticed is text and spelling has gotten much better. If you've used an image creator in the past year, it used to be very terrible at that, adding words that made no sense or were Cyrillic or didn't have anything that was understandable. Also, images are much more realistic. You have tons of options of telling AI what type of style you want, whether you want it like cartoonish or you want it like, you know, watercolor or impressionistic. There's all different ways you can guide AI to get the output you're looking for. Also, welcome to the arena. Videos are coming. So if you thought you were finally past the scariness of just even images, now there are AI videos available. So that is up and coming. It's not great right now. I've been using it and they're fun to play with, but they're not anything that, unless you pay for it, they're just merging into the market. They're going to get much better. So watch out. The other part that I really like about images, though, is now AI can see and understand images. So it can actually look at the pixels in an image and interpret them, which is very, very cool and very, very useful. So really quickly, I know we're a little short on time, but what is your biggest curiosity or concern with AI images? If you want to type something into the chat box, maybe we can address that at some point. But I was just really curious what people were thinking about AI imagery. Love it or hate it, it's here. So what is your curiosity? Deep fakes and misinformation. I actually have that on a slide. Absence of diversity, reality fatigue. Do I trust anything? Exactly. Okay, yeah. All of these things. Am I going to be used as an AI image somewhere in a way that I don't like it, right? We have to keep thinking. We have to forge ahead with the positive ability of this. I mean, with every good comes bad, but there is so much good that can happen. And part of it is the learning part of it. So I'm going to touch on a couple popular tools. These are probably ones you have already heard of. So ChatGPT uses DALL-E 3. Copilot, very popular in colleges, also uses DALL-E 3. Is really great for visual ideation and prototyping. And it has something called in-painting. And I'm going to cover what in-painting is in a little bit, but that's a pretty cool feature. Now, Adobe Firefly, very realistic images. And what's cool about Adobe Firefly is they are the only ones who are 100% copyright free because they have commercial safe imagery. They can tell you where they trained their models, and they have compensated artists that they have used their images from. So that is the only one that can honestly say that they are safe, commercial safe. Now, Adobe Express and Canva AI, a lot of people use those now to like create slides or to create flyers, whatever you're doing. That also has a lot of AI opportunities there, and they're pretty cool. And I mentioned videos. Well, OpenAI's video maker is Sora. And if you have an AI account, you get like 10 videos a month or something right now. It changes every day. Don't believe them when they said, this is what's happening because every week it's completely different. Now you're probably saying to yourself, well, which one should I use? Well, fun fact, I asked AI to rate the four that I just laid out for you guys. And I was like, could you please just tell me what I should use these for and what the best case and key features are? And it gave me this. Now, I mean, this is a low risk chance of me like agreeing or disagreeing with it, but it's a place to start. It's a place for me to go, okay, oh, I see. Is the best use case is for professional design assets. DALL-E 3 is for creative ideation in painting and imaginative visuals. In the end, each of you will gravitate towards the one that you like or works the best for you. But when you're confused and there's too many choices, you can pick a couple and you can actually ask AI to help you sort through it. Like, what is the priorities of these? I do that a lot when I'm trying to compare and contrast different softwares, different, reasons to do things. It's very good at helping you at least create the good and bad list, and then you can vet that yourself. Now, someone else mentioned in there in the chat about citing an image. Now, there are a lot of people coming out with, this is how you need to cite an image. This is what you need to document. This is how, APA says to do it. This is how MLA says to do it. Important pieces of information that we can all agree on is if you're going to be using an image for something that requires a citation, keep in mind what these things are: the tool, the prompt, the creator, which is you, the date you created it, because with the different models, it changes all the time, and your platform and access point. Now, I did that for this comparison tool. If you look at the bottom here, it says Morgan K 2025. Here's my prompt: AI image generation tools comparison. And I put all of these in, compiled from a product documentation and usage guidelines presented at Higher Ed Quality in Action, April 2025. So it's safe to say that like we can tell where that came from, who created it, and why they created it. Something to consider. At this point, it's still changing, but to protect yourself, this is something to consider. Again, someone mentioned concerns about copyright. And I will say that Adobe Firefly says we can trace how they were made and everything's fine. DALL-E 3, OpenAI, says you can use our images for any purpose, including commercial use, but you are responsible for ensuring that your image doesn't infringe on third-party rights. I'm not sure how you can be responsible for that, but that's their way of saying we're not actually valid for commercial use. So just be aware that if you're using it, citations are important, and there are no hard and fast rules at this point. So really make your decisions based on, what your use is going to be. So what can you do with AI imagery? Well, you can create scenarios for instruction or tutorials or images that go along with it. You can create visuals for presentations. You can illustrate abstract or emotional concepts. I think that's really cool because that's one of those things that I'm going to talk about in a minute where you can, ask it to illustrate poverty and then challenge everyone to be like, is this what poverty look like? Or is this a stereotype? Or is this biased? And you can challenge students to say, think in your head right now, before you even go to AI, picture in your head what you think excitement looks like. Now I want you to make AI create the vision or create a version of the vision that's in your head. And that'll help them work on some of their prompting opportunities and figuring out how to interact with this tool that's now everywhere. You can use it for character development. You're writing a story and your main hero has some quirks and things like that. You can create images to go along with it that help bring your characters to life. Honestly, you can really do almost anything with imagery. I'm a visual person. I was a photographer and I doodle all the time. So it's one of those things that like I love playing with images. But what's really, really cool is you can also use images in reverse now. And this is the part that blows my mind. So you can upload an image and say, I need accessible text. I need alt text for this, or I need you to describe it to me. And it can. You can upload an image and just that has text in it and say, just give me the text from the image. Like say it's an infographic and you want just the text or the 10 steps to doing something. You can upload a chart and say, can you summarize this for me? You can upload an infographic and say, can you create content for a fifth grader that I could explain this chart to them? It is such an amazing tool to really help you get your mind around things that sometimes are a little more abstract. Okay. Obviously, we have the ethical awareness issue, bias in data sets, as we mentioned before, consent and copyright. Who owns this image? What if it steals from real artists? I mean, nobody wants to be that person, right? And misinformation. AI can make fake but very convincing visuals. So really quickly, I'm going to give you two examples, and you tell me if it's AI or a real image.
Should we put that in chat?
Yeah, you can put that in chat. You can yell at your screen. I don't really care because I'm going to give you the answer in a minute because everyone will know. So everyone, I'm going to say this looks exactly like a Firefly image. However, it is people milling in a glass-walled building taken through the window at Steve Jobs Theater in Cupertino, California. So, I mean, I tricked you because I honestly would have guessed this was an AI image too, but it's real. It's absolutely real. Now this one, a little more difficult, okay? So here we are, avocado toast, the millennials' main deal. And so I thought this was real. However, it is not real. The explanation given to me was that the line right here looks a little wonky. However, I'm going to argue that sometimes I rip my line if I don't cut it all the way and it looks wonky too. So I'm not saying that's a real. And like I said, I picked really good examples to show you, but they're out there. This is how good they are. Yes, wonky is a technical term for AI. Who's a widgets. So just as you can see, now I'm going to show you about this, talk to you a little about in painting and creative ideation. So I did this last year. I might even be able to do a better version this year, but still it was a great idea. So I had a course and we had a sexual harassment scenario that was one of those interpretation sexual harassment scenarios. Okay. So the whole scenario was that the boss, who was a French woman, came in and put her hand on the new employee's shoulder and, talked to him really close to his face and was really excited he was there. And he was not sure how to take that. And he felt he had been sexually harassed. And so the whole idea was, a very interpretive type of situation. And how do you handle that in an HR way if you get a complaint like that? So what I basically did was I found this picture on Adobe, this picture of the guy talking to the other guy in the conference room. And then you have this option to like In painting means you can change a piece of the image. So a lot of times if you ask AI to create an image and you like most of it, and then you're like, oh, could you just make it, add clouds to the sky? It's going to give you a whole brand new image. But in this one, you can, when you in paint, you can just say, oh, I love the image, except I needed this to be a female. So I literally just circled the head of the guy right here and said, make it a female. And it did. And if you look, they're still wearing, in fact, that might be still the same hand, as you can see. Weird. She has manly hands, but it is definitely the same hand. But it only changed her face. The suit is still black. The hand is still the guy's hand. And that didn't matter to me. This was an ideation that I was doing. And then I was like, well, I need to give him a confused look on his face. So I just circled his face and said, give me some images. And it gave me 3 to choose from. It did lose the tie, you're right. Because I said female, I guess. And I was able to submit this to my graphic designer and say, okay, here's the scenario. It's a French woman and this other guy, and can you make this happen? And then it worked. So this is what happened for our scenario when we presented it to the students, which was really cool because then I wasn't trying to like go back and forth 1,000 times with her saying, oh, make it this way, or just gently touch the shoulder or something like that. She had something to go for. We didn't have to go back and forth at all, actually. She gave me a really great setup right away. So helping spread your creative ideas, get them out of your head and onto paper, it's really good at that. All right, so as we saw in the chat, there are current discussions such as deepfakes and misinformation and bias and representation. And it is exploding. And it's so true because it is trained on millions of things, which let the bias and representation creep in. Deepfakes, we have all the people who are creating images and videos of that aren't real, but they look super real, right? Now, there are a few organizations, the AI Act in the EU and the FTC guidance in the US, are trying to shape and make AI more transparent and promote trust in it. At least we hope that's what they're doing. To include, to encourage innovation and safeguard human rights. Like, it's tough because there's just the internet has taken over and viruses and people with nefarious intent. But we're going to move forward and just think this is a great tool for us to help educate. And I think that is a good way to look at it. And it's also really important to learn how to use these things. So as they advance, you kind of are on the ground floor of figuring out how to prompt things and how things happen and what to look for when you're looking at images to see if they're real or not. So it's also great for supplemental graphics. Sometimes you just need a thought prompt. So what you have here is just an example of some of my, prompts and what came out of them. So real easy way to do that. I'm going to speed things up a little bit because we are running out of time. All right, so we talked about a GPT and how AI can look at images now and create alt text, which is great, because especially now with the DOJ coming through, like every image needs alt text or long descriptions, especially in the education world. So we created the image description specialist, okay, which is so cool. Now, the next slides, do not judge me on the content on the slides. That's on purpose. And the whole idea was, if you look at this image here, that's a lot of information. And I honestly don't know what Herzberg's two-factor theory is. But we took that image and dropped it into AI, and it gave us an alt text and a long description. I didn't type any of this, but it did that itself, which was really, really helpful. Sorry, I don't know why that did that. Same thing with this map of poverty in the US. It was able to like really help us come up with the alt text and long description. Now, our GPT was created hand in hand with accessibility. So they gave us the rules for alt text. They gave us the rules for long descriptions. They told us what was important. So we were able to preload knowledge into the GPT saying only this many characters should be in an alt text. Don't use, I'm trying to remember, ellipses. You weren't allowed to use ellipses in it. So like a bunch of rules that are maybe not known very well to me, but our accessibility people were able to explain them to us. So we created that knowledge base, and now we have this GPT that we can share, and we will share with all of you. And all you have to do is drop an image in, and it will create your alt text for you, both the short and the long description. And it's not perfect. I'm not going to say this thing is, knocks it out of the park all the time, but you definitely get enough that all you have to do is look at it and edit it if, to your need. Because there's things that aren't being taken into consideration here, like what else is on the page and is it other, explanatory in a different way, or did they add too much information? But still, it writes most of it, which is pretty great. So, AI is changing our world, right? We have more realistic generated images. We can interpret emotional cues in images, and the diversity and bias things, they are evolving. I don't know where it's going to go and how that's going to happen, but they are evolving. So major updates are happening literally every single day. If you log in today, tomorrow it could be better, more advanced. It could be a paywall. There's all kinds of changes. So, and it's not just images because AI is becoming your co-creator across formats. I mean, in my own personal experience, I'm going to say that AI has not necessarily saved me time. It has pushed me further because what I find is I use AI to give me some more ideas, and then I spend more time working on better ideas, if that makes sense. So yeah, it can create my rubric and all of those things for me, but then I find myself looking to make an assignment better or trying to polish content in a better way. So it's a really great partner or TA in the room, I think someone said. So we don't have time to play, but the things that you could do include like create wait a second, it went the wrong way, sorry. Create a storyline. AI walks into a bar with something we played with last year. It was a lot of fun, and we just created this whole scene based on prompts. Or you can, one of the things I like to do, and I mentioned before, use an image to create an abstract concept, to illustrate an abstract concept. What does curiosity look like? And then, look at it, analyze it, try to decide if there are biases and things like that. How can I visualize poverty? And these are all just great ways to start playing with AI, getting your students to play with AI, learning about it really. So we are a minute over, and I really apologize for that. But if there's any questions that haven't been answered or that you still have, you can feel free to ask them.
I don't think we have anything outstanding from the chat, so yeah, if anyone has a question, feel free to jump in.
And then and like I said, we will share our alt tag generator, which is something that is really helpful and is set up to kind of follow the rules of accessibility. So if you're interested in that, it'll be available. Penny,
It
where
was
will
in the chat.
it was in the chat? Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having us, for listening to us. Sorry if I talked too fast, and sorry that I went over.
Thanks, Kate. You were great.
You too, Lisa.
You
I
too,
love listening
Lisa.
to you. You too,
I was
Penny.
talking, you too, Penny. I was talking a little bit too fast, but man, I didn't think we'd fill the 45 minutes.
There was a lot to squeeze in,
I could just
But I
keep
hope
talking and
there was
talking.
something. I know. I hope there was something for everybody.
Yeah, did I miss any good questions when I was chatting?
They just really wanted to know what color your sweater was.
It's yes. This is AI beige, if anyone needs to know it. Sherwin-Williams has a whole line.
Thank you, Glenna. We would be willing to talk longer too,
Yeah.
and show a lot more things. I think next time we might be more hands-on. So, but it was good to have everybody here.
I think the chat gets saved with the recording, but I'm not sure.
I think the chat may get saved. I'm not sure, but I don't think the links get saved. So any links that are put in here wouldn't be included, like wouldn't be clickable.
Let me open it and see.
Oh,
Thank
there's
you,
in the
Glenna.
three dots at the top,
Thank you,
there's an
Heather.
option to
Yeah,
save
I
chat.
saved it already. But
Thank you all. Thank you, Jonathan.
the links are not clickable, it's just text.
Thank you,
Okay.
She.
Thank you guys for coming. I hope you had a great
Yes, thank you, Heather, so much for
Nice to
showing
you,
up
Heather.
for we miss you.
I do.
Is Heather still on? There
Yeah,
she
it's
is.
Yeah, she's there.
Hey, Heather, guess where I am?
Where are you?
Portugal.
Amazing. The most beautiful place in the world. Now I have
I'm
to
here
go on
doing a
Facebook.
presentation.
Wait,
Doing
show
a
them your wall
presentation.
behind you. Make it clear. It's a bunch of sardine tins.
My favorite thing to collect. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
See that? Isn't
This
that
makes my
amazing?
day. I will
Wait till
send
you-
you, I'm gonna text
is-
you my
This is a
sardine collection.
hotel that I'm in right now. Look at the other side of this.
Oh my God. And chairs.
I
And
know.
chairs.
I mean, I was thinking that like this is probably wrong, but like it's grabbing your bottom.
It is. It is.
Supporting.
Isn't there something wrong with that?
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
Well, it's good seeing everybody.
All
Good
right.
seeing
Have
you,
a good
Heather.
Thank
night,
you.
Guys,
everybody.
take
It was
care.
so
Thanks,
great
Thank you,
Carol.
Heather.
having us.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Carol.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.